The Solomon Islands National University and the Australian National University are conducting a nationwide survey of politics in Solomon Islands in and around the election on Wednesday. They are one of the multiple observer groups in the country, including from the Melanesian Spearhead Group and the Pacific Islands Forum, but none of them have as many people in field for as long as the university collaboration. Koroi Hawkins spoke with the team leader of the ANU-SINU Election Observer Group, James Batley, who has historical connections to the country, having previously served as one of the heads of the Australian-led Regional Assistance Mission to Solomon Islands.
That's right. The two universities are mounting really quite an extensive observation exercise. We've got teams in 15 different constituencies right around the country, or in most parts of the country, and our teams will be in the field for up to 3 weeks. So we'll be observing the conduct of the election on election day itself, but in the week before the election and the week after the election, the teams will be conducting surveys of Solomon Island citizens just to gauge their attitudes on a range of issues related to the elections, of course, but also politics in general. So we're using this with the ANU and Solomon Islands National University colleagues as a way of conducting research into attitudes across the country. We did a similar thing in 2019, so we're excited this time that when we get our results in and we're able to analyse them, we'll be able to see the trends between 5 years ago and now, and whether people's views are evolving, what their perceptions are. That will involve a lot of work and a lot of analysis because we collect an enormous amount of data. I think we will probably do a survey of around 5,000 Solomon Islanders in the time our teams are in the field. So it's a very big sample and it will be very helpful, I hope, to the electoral authorities here in Solomons, and we've discussed that with them, and also to the university here. It really helps Solomon Islands academics get into the field and do some really good research, and they're very happy about that as well.
Are there some key findings from the last survey that that stood out for you that you remember?
Well, certainly last time we had found that the election was technically run very professionally. We didn't detect any serious problems with the conduct of the election on the day itself. Most people, there was no real violence. The people who lined up to vote, it was very orderly and relaxed. We noted in our last report a phenomenon of voters moving from one area to register in a different constituency, and we did some analysis about why people might do that, and so that's something we'll be looking at again this time around. Again in 2019, a lot of Solomon Islanders talk to us about the relationship that they have with their members of parliament and the role that constituency development funds play in that relationship. So again, that's something else that we'll be looking out for. We ask questions about people's attitudes to women in politics, whether there should be more female members of parliament, and a range of other questions.
With the RCDF, or whatever the new acronym is now with Beijing, a big portion of it is development budget funding, right? It's only a component that is actually foreign funded, but it seems the narrative that I keep hearing around here and around the place is that China funding this that was formerly funded by Taiwan, but it's actually a big chunk of the development budget of the country, right?
Yeah, most of the funding for constituency funds comes from Solomon Islands' own sources. That's up to 75-80%. So the funding that Taiwan used to provide and the funding that China is providing now is really only a small proportion of the overall funding for constituency funds, and it's a point to remember. Yeah.
For this particular election, obviously the first joint one, anything apart from that, that's different? There's been a few electoral amendments as well, other than the joint election. Anything noticeably different for you?
No, look, I don't think so. It's interesting that the joint election is being held. Obviously, that's part of what observers will be looking at. I understand that the votes for the provincial elections and the Honiara City Council will be counted before the national elections. So that will keep everyone on tenterhooks who's waiting to see the outcome of the national elections. But of course that will happen in due course. And I can't talk about that in advance. We'll have to wait and see how all that counting goes on the day.